Here we go. Hello, hello, comadres. Welcome. I am your resident moon goddess here to give you the report for a full moon in Gemini with the lunar eclipse. Yes, it's a mouthful. It's a mouthful, but we have a lot to share. And I have a very, very special guest with me today to help me unpack, to help me decipher, to help me dig in to what's going on and give you the best information that we possibly can as we're coming to complete this crazy but transformative year that we've had, 2020. And to do that, my friend Jess, the astrologer extraordinaire, goddess,
Hi, thank you.
amazing friend, is here to share with me, to kind of help you unpack, to answer any questions that you may have, to be here to support you. Welcome, Jess. Thank you for having me. Can you talk really quick to see if you pop up on the screen?
Yes. Am I popping up?
No.
Popping.
You're definitely popping.
I have a Gemini rising and a Gemini moon, so I'm like, this is my element. Like whatever chaos people have been hitting me up, I'm like, yeah.
Let
This
me
is
see.
my
Oh,
day to day, baby doll.
okay, so now you're popping up on the screen. Okay, Kathy says she was seeing you. Good, good. Okay. All right. So all right, comadres. See, now I can't see myself. And I just want to make sure that this records correctly for everybody. So we're getting started. So much going on. We're wrapping up again 2020. And to do that, we have an eclipse today. And we have an eclipse coming up in the winter solstice, which is December 21st, 2020. So, Jess, how you feeling?
I mean, technically the eclipse was yesterday, around 2:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Yesterday early. But I feel I mean the energy is definitely still palpable. I feel great. Like I think it's just because I've been working through this like Gemini Sag thing. These dynamics or these archetypical lessons my whole life. So
Yeah. So it's like
first,
familiar. It's a
yeah,
familiar energy. But actually, that is the major thing, like that I've been seeing and focusing on when I'm looking at this new moon, at this full moon yesterday, because the nodes, right? So the nodes of the moon, and for those of you that are just like learning about astrology, our moon has nodes, and these nodes depict where we're coming from and where we're going. It gives us a direction. It gives us as a collective a point of focus to move towards. So the south node tells us what we're leaving behind. The north node tells us as a collective what we're moving towards. And this full moon is in Gemini with an eclipse on these two nodes. And we're having to look at ourselves very deeply. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, and Mercury is now sitting in Scorpio.
actually no, it moved into Sag just now, just today.
Okay, just today?
Yeah, like a few hours ago.
Okay, so it was, and I don't know if over the weekend you were feeling it, but I was in a deep reflection of myself and in a deep unpacking of what has been going on for the last, man, I would say back to 10 years, back to 2012. You know, things came up full circle for me that I have been looking at. You know what I mean? For me, there has been a lot of focus on shadow work and a lot of focus on dream work. I've been wanting to sleep a lot, almost like, no, not like, oh my God, I'm so lazy, I'm so tired, I want to sleep. Almost like it's easier for me to process this energy while I'm sleeping than while I'm awake sometimes, you know? And I'm just like, my body will just be like, boom, you got to process, go down, you know? And I feel that, and just, I'll give you a moment to kind of elaborate on this, but I feel like a lot of us are being called to dig deep into our subconscious
Yeah,
and to ask the difficult questions as to where we're going. What do you think, Jess?
yeah. Just to interject with that real quick, Mercury moves relatively fast. It spends 2 to 3 weeks in a sign. It's been in Scorpio for approximately, I mean, it went back into Libra, but it has taken around 2.5, 3 months to come out of Scorpio because of the retrograde cycle and everything. And Mercury being there, Mercury and Venus are very close to the sun. So the sun moving through this space, Mercury taking its sweet time, Venus taking its sweet time here. And Scorpio deals with shadow work, the subconscious, anything hidden, anything repressed. Um, and so Mercury's the lower mind. So it's literally like going in mentally and into the dredges and pulling out fears, unconscious things. And it would be strong enough if it was just that, but you have Uranus directly opposite that it kept going back and forth past. And Uranus is just like massive. I never use this term actually, but I'm going to downloads. um, I mean, it rules lightning. So whether you're talking literal lightning or metaphoric lightning information, or your paradigms being shattered, um, because you're going within the depths of your psyche and unraveling and integrating and all that. It's a lot, right? And we feel it, and our nervous systems feel it. And because Uranus deals so much with the nervous system, and Gemini also ties in with the nervous system, um, just to I keep saying this, I say this all the time, I sound like a broken record, but I can't emphasize how important grounding is, especially in eclipses in general, because the nature of the moon is so moody. But when you're dealing with this moodiness and combining it with this very electrical, nervous energy, um, and a lot of information, it can wreak havoc on our nervous systems. Because what happens when you're afraid? You go into fight, flight, your nervous system is like being overloaded. And I just want to say one more thing before I forget, just so people have an understanding of why eclipses matter. Um, because of the relationship it has to the moon's nodes, and that they're in this place in the sky for like a year and a half, the lessons that come with an eclipse usually last around 6 months. So it's not necessarily like a regular full moon where you may feel it on the day before, the day after. It's a 6 month kind of process. Um, so yeah, it's a lot of unpacking
Yeah.
related to the eclipses from earlier in the year in the summer.
And even years back, like it could take us back like to
100%.
completing cycles that we started like, 2017,
You look at
2012,
you look at the
you know.
degrees where they match up, and you'll see certain cycles, certain patterns, that show up in your life, and whether they're resolving, repeating, integrating, progressing, that's our decision, right?
Mhm. It's interesting because going back to the nodes, I would love for you to elaborate a little bit about what these nodes are actually urging us to look at as a collective. Where is the energy of the North Node in Gemini asking us to go that's being illuminated by this full moon and kind of rocked with this eclipse,
I
you
just
know?
got news. Let's talk about the nodes.
My faves.
No, and to tie in with what you said, so it's funny because I'm listening to you and I keep hearing the word collective. And in general, we say that in the spiritual community, especially when we're going through things we've been going through that are literally affecting the whole world simultaneously. But even
Mhm.
in astrology, it's so significant because these nodes are having a conversation with Neptune, and Neptune literally rules the collective. It deals with the energy and the psychic consciousness, um, of the collective. and they're making a harsh aspect to the collective. Figure out how to like play together as a collective. And when you think about one person and the shadow work, one person, or the consciousness or unconsciousness of one individual person, it's infinite, it's expansive. Multiply that times 7 billion. It's
Hmm.
a lot of information. What does Gemini rule? Information. It wants to relate, it wants to get the best information. And so we have the South Node in Sag, and just to be clear, we don't necessarily need to throw away the lessons of the South Node. It's more so we've overdone it. And we got to now go, nodes always lie on opposing ends of an axis. They're not, we a lot of times we talk about, oh, the dual nature. Duality is a myth. Like everything is existing on a spectrum. Polarity is another situation. So they're on the same pole, or on the same axis. They're just on opposite ends of the pole.
Exactly.
You have something similar, and you want to kind of integrate the lessons of both. So when you're talking about the Sagittarius Gemini axis, you're talking about information and beliefs and learning and sharing this information. And so Sag, which is getting a lot of action, I forgot the degree, but it's actually the rising of the United States is in Sag. So the US is like just getting its ass handed to it right now.
Absolutely. That chart is like
The
ridiculous.
chart is crazy.
I know because that chart is similar to mine. I was
Yeah,
born on the
exactly. Oh
19th.
my God, can't, that's true.
Yes.
So it's lit. It's lit up. And so with Sag, every sign is beautiful in its own way, but when you're dealing with the I guess you could say more negative qualities of Sagittarius, you're getting into blind faith, righteousness, super self-righteous, adhering to a very dogmatic, um,
Absolute truths.
absolutes, existing in just absolute truths. And it's also natural law. Um, but when we assume that we know everything about natural law, as humans, that becomes problematic because we don't. We don't know fucking anything. We know a little bit. We know like a little teeny bit, and also Sag can then take natural law and want to blend it with morality. And the difference is natural law can very well be static in certain ways, absolute. We don't necessarily know those truths, but they can be, right? Like
Right. Well, I mean, they're reliable. They're
yeah,
dependable.
morality is not static. So morality shifts. Things that were acceptable 500 years ago are not necessarily acceptable now, and that's going to continue. And so um, being overly adherent to a cause without actually getting all of the information or seeing all the sides. Because Gemini just wants to learn. Gemini's like, the little kid. That's what
Yeah.
it equals, that like preteen energy.
Taking it all in.
That just wants to learn and share information and get perspectives and doesn't necessarily take a side, in a kind of Libra way. And it just wants to get all the facts. And so right now with these nodes, it's like you don't have all the facts. So before anybody starts hitting a blind cause, Sagittarius South Node, and thinking they know the answers for the whole thing, it's like sit back. And Gemini is also your immediate environment. So it's like instead of trying to find your answers in the world, in your religious dogma, in
In
your,
faraway lands. In faraway.
it's like, how about you pay attention to what the fuck is going on literally right in front of you? Day to day. Gemini is short distance travel. It's your neighbors, it's your siblings, it's your immediate environment. It's like spend a little more time listening, communicating with your neighbors, because this person, and I've been saying this for a while, like even politically, and not to get into political things, but if you are dying, if your arm is severed in the street and someone comes to badge your arm up, you're not going to start asking them what political party they're a part of. You're going to be like, holy shit, thank you for fucking
Helping me.
helping me with my wound, right? And it's those nuance, when we think Gemini, it's like getting into the nuance of information, of sensory perception, and not so much in this belief that you learned or inherited from your families or from the group you're a part of or from what you think should be right. It's all the should be's. Yeah, the shoulds got to get kind of thrown away.
No, agreed.
That's why Gemini gets the devil's advocate kind of thing, because it's like there is no should. There's, well, let's see what's going on right now.
Because Gemini lives in possibilities, you know? And the interesting thing about this axis is it's mutable, right? And it thrives on adaptability, right? So it's asking us, this full moon is asking us, where can you adapt? Where can you change? How can you adapt? And it's really important that we do. And all of that is super clouded because isn't Neptune squaring these nodes?
It's making it's a square, and it's, I mean, it's not an, actually, is it an exact square right now? I think it is, because Neptune just went direct, which is a big deal too. So
Uh-huh.
when you have like a square is basically when it makes an angle that's a square, like the edge of a square, a 90-degree angle. So when you have that tension, you want to go to the opposite point. In this case, that would be Virgo. So it
Mhm.
wants us to do what? Get clear with your thought. Take care of your mental health. Take care of your mental health.
Big theme, comadres. Like if you hear anything from this entire like 20 minutes together,
Take care
take
of your
care of
mental
your
health.
mental health.
Take care of your mental health. Get clear, get grounded, get into your routines. Understand that not all the information is serving you. And also get clear with what you're communicating, because since this is a lunar full moon, it's going to bring the shadow aspects up of Gemini.
Oh yeah.
Means what conversations or what are you not communicating? Or where could you, because we just had all this stuff with the Taurus Scorpio axis, which has to do with values. So it's like we're kind of having an idea what our actual core values are once we dust off all the conditioned shit that we've been, that we've adopted over however many millennia.
And that's been dissolving as of late.
Yeah, but now we got to communicate that. And it's like, well, where haven't you communicated it because you're afraid your friends, your peers, your lovers, your family's going to judge you. You're not going to get what you want if you communicate what you actually want. Um, and that's huge right now. Um, where have you not necessarily been clear and authentic in your communication? Because you're going to attract people who are not clear and not authentic in their communication. um,
And it's interesting the paradox here because it's not discouraging you from owning your truth and having your truth. We're as individuals, and the idea of Gemini is very utopian, but obviously you're going to have your convictions, you're going to have your truths, you're going to have your things that you uphold as value. But that doesn't mean that everybody is going to have that same thing. And it is in the adaptability and it's in the acceptance of that fact that everything lies. Because
yeah, 100%. 100%. Um, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just heard what you said and it was like, yeah.
and this is more of a conversation, how we usually talk on the phone.
Yeah, no, 100%. Um, it's funny because like I don't, Gemini energy is very known for like, yeah, that I keep just feeling like that devil's advocate thing, and it gets such a bad rap. And it's like, how about just somebody who sees another perspective?
Because it's so hard for us, like we have been conditioned in some way to not, like, you're different, okay, you're weird, all right, you're there, you've been classified, you're in this box, boom. Yeah, in our head we just put the situation, the person, the idea, the concept that we find strange and weird. We don't try to understand. Well, how about trying to understand that? focusing on trying to understand what you find weird, because there might be knowledge there and a different perspective.
Well, yeah, what you find weird, and not even weird, even threatening. Because
Well,
Gemini deals with your nervous system, right? Gemini's energy, specifically Mercury and Uranus, both deal with the nervous system. So, what is very interesting, I was talking about this with a friend the other day, is when we have our beliefs or core beliefs challenged, um, and we're triggered, right? And we go into a quick reactive mode because it's like, no, this is bad, you're wrong, da 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 da. You're going into full flight or
right.
fight mode, and that person may be not even a threat, but your mind, which is Gemini, lower mind, your thoughts, are perceiving this as someone literally attacking. Like, survival is now being attacked. Now, why do we adhere to beliefs so intensely? Oftentimes, well, if you're not necessarily, for instance, in my case, I went through this. If you don't have a stable home, if you don't feel grounded in your home or in your body or in your family or in your country of origin or what have you, or you come from a family system that carries these traumas, what's the next best thing to root you? Your beliefs. It gives you some tether to reality. Otherwise, you're just fucking floating and you feel like, oh shit, I don't know what I believe, right? And it can kind of be scary when you just are almost too fluid, right?
Yeah,
It's
because
like
the world
everything is real, but not. I don't know. So we have a tendency to cling to beliefs because they make us feel safe.
right. I mean, we as a society, we want to identify everything. Like, so that makes us feel safe. Oh, okay, now it's here. Now we know where to place it. You know what I mean? When necessarily it might be not placed in the right place.
Place, or it served its purpose when you were younger. Now it's not serving its purpose. It's not static. So, I think a lot of times when people feel like their beliefs are shifting, and beliefs and values are not the same thing, they're very different. Just to say that and clarify that, your values are a lot more core. Your belief is more of a thought kind of thing. It's not necessarily what you live your entire life by. Your values are a foundational aspect of your psyche. Beliefs, not as much as we would think, but we treat them as if they are. And so then when they start peeling away, it's like, oh my God, who the fuck am I? Oh man, I don't know who I am anymore. And we a lot of times, not always, we freak out.
Mm-hmm.
And I also notice people feel guilty a lot of times because they're like, oh, I'm not a part of this cause, or I'm not, like helping with this. Yeah, they just don't feel like they're contributing to their community. It's like you can contribute to your community by literally contributing to yourself, or like be nice to your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, blessing the trees, blessing the grass,
The
connecting.
water.
Yeah, connecting with your immediate world. And this is a very Gemini thing too. I just want to emphasize is when it comes to that nuance, and I use this example a lot, but it's like, if I run out of tea one day and I go to the store and I'm gonna go on Friday, I don't go Friday, then I go on Monday, or I don't go on Friday because like something happened with my car, I end up going a few days later, and then I end up running into somebody in the store and they changed my life. And all those little moments, all those nuanced ripples in time, doing this and this and this and setting infinite continuum fucking ripples of reality in all directions, that's happening all the time. Gemini's very aware of those kinds of nuanced
Subtleties, like subtleties happening.
the subtleties matter. And it could be just because you decided to take a walk that was 2 minutes longer, that your whole shit shifts. And your whole reality shifts.
All right. Right. That's why intuition is so important. That's why I'm always saying intuition is key. Because if your intuition is leading you there, there's something.
And
There's
it may
something.
not make sense. And it may not make sense. And you just doing that self-care, like Sag is very interested in all the outer world, the external world. I gotta do this in the world. I gotta travel here, da 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 da. And it's like, I think a lot of times, even in our society, we feel very guilty for being still. And it's like you're constantly in motion. Your atoms, your particles, or you're vibrating, your cells are moving.
Mm-hmm.
Extra breath, Gemini rules the lungs. Breath will literally shift the ripple in time. Like, we got to get real particular with our magic and understanding that even like a little makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And you may never see the result. And that's okay.
But it's happening. And I think it's important to talk about, let's go back to Neptune, because Neptune is doing its number on this whole thing and doing the elusive thing, and everyone's confused. And you're like, super, yeah, where am I going? Yeah, I don't know.
It's just, yeah. We don't have all the information yet
No,
collectively.
and it's
And
becoming,
we just got to be all right with that. We got to be down to learn and down to listen. And I also want to just touch on, because when we spoke on the phone, I forgot, I didn't even think about this. So Jupiter and Pluto are going to make a conjunction. Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn have been doing this dance in Capricorn all year. I know Marlene's talked about it. I've talked about it. And that's huge. That's affecting like our structural reality, our government, our economy, not just in the United States, the whole world over. Jupiter's the ruler of Sagittarius. Pluto is death and transformation and fear and like mass pandemics, but pandemics of fear, pandemics of health, regeneration at the deepest level. So this is literally like, okay, we are going to see blow up our belief systems like on a magnifying glass,
yep.
then go, we're going to wash it away and twist it out and wring it out and
Unify it. What it's doing is that it is unifying the masculine and the feminine. That is where we are going. Whether you believe it or not, that is where this 5,200 year cycle is taking us. That started December 21st, 2012.
yep.
And this eclipse is happening this solstice, marking a very important time in our trajectory towards evolution. And what is evolution? Now, what it looks like for us is combining our masculine and our feminine energies individually and as a collective, and moving towards the unification of all things, you know? So, whether you're game or not, that is where we're going, you know?
Yeah.
And the journey could be a self-discovery, personal development, the most enlightening journey, because these energies that are available to us from the cosmos haven't been seen in years and years and years and years and years. Definitely no human today has seen some of these energies available. Therefore, it's giving us a true opportunity to create change. And we are pioneering that change. We're only 10 years in. Think about it, 5,200 year cycle. We are 10 years in.
That's another part of it. Like when you're talking about the all this stuff that's been in Capricorn the whole year. Um, Capricorn also deals with time. Saturn's a ruler of Capricorn. Saturn's in Capricorn, super strong. It's going to be leaving soon. So it's not done yet, though, because when planets are at the end of a sign, they kind of rev up because they're closing cycles,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
in their home sign.
Oh, yeah.
This is time, too, and I think I say this a lot, but it's like we have a tendency to want to look at time and results and change and all this in the perspective of our timeline, our 80 plus year timeline, which is kind of Capricorn also deals with maturity and adulthood. It's immature. It's immature to think that we're going to see the world change, and we're going to see the world change, but in the way we want it to happen in the next year. And it's like, don't be ridiculous. We're talking about generations.
Yep.
Thousands upon thousands of years. So the work we're doing, what you're doing, the love you're giving, this is the long game. This is a long, like, you may not see it, you may see it, we may see it,
We may have already had lifetimes there.
but like this kind of just impatience of wanting the results right now. No, no.
Well, I think it's also that we're victims of our conditioning. Again, we, especially here in the United States, where everything's measured month by month, everything is instant gratification, give it to me now, fast food, like everything, as opposed to planning for, like you said, the long game.
Yeah, you want
Where,
the
where
you
do we see ourselves 5, 10, 20 years?
yeah,
100
let alone 3,000. Let alone
years?
3,000.
years.
Like, do we really? I mean, I just always wonder this, and I'm not saying not to be a catalyst for change and not to want to see change, but when you want really long standing change, like with anything else, it's like if you're building a house, you have to start with a foundation. You build a house on shitty foundation, your house is going to get fucked up eventually. That
Well,
property value is not going to endure. It's
yeah,
not. You're gonna have septic tank leaks. You're gonna have to change the floors. It's gonna warp. It's gonna happen. So
demolish is coming. The demolishing of your house is coming.
what's the foundation of collective? The individual humans. And how much information lies in every single individual? A ridiculously infinite amount. So,
Lifetimes.
I advocate and love and have so much respect for people who are like, always at it, but it's like there is a reason why it's like quarantine, sit down,
Mm-hmm.
room, go be grounded. God is like, go, you're grounded. Go sit with yourself. You're not in trouble, but you need to fucking sit with you. And it's funny because this year the amount of shit that's been happening to people that I know it has nothing to even do with COVID. I've heard of so many people passing away and it has absolutely nothing to do with COVID. Obviously that is a huge element of it, but it's like
Contracts are up.
contracts are up.
Contracts are up, and people are moving out, ushering out, because they didn't sign up for the vibration that's coming up now in this lifetime. Doesn't mean they're not going to get there. It doesn't mean that the transition, it's just all transitions look different. Some of us get there by dying into it. Some of us get there by transcending and ascending into it, you know? And like I said before, some of us are probably star seeds from that time that are coming back here, souls that are being born again, and they're and encouraging people, hey, we're moving, we're going in that direction. All that intuition that's telling you, that call that you hear, you're not making that shit up.
No, and there's no judgment. Exactly. You're not making that shit up. And
Mhm.
there's no judgment to those that perhaps are not on the wave. I don't even like doing that. Like when people I'm just not I'm not doing the separation game.
All on the wave.
It's not. Um I'm not because we're connected. And
Yeah.
one of my mentors said that he was like, if you know that everybody is a reflection of you on some level and you are connected to everybody and you continue to treat other people as if they're differently, what is that? Why do we do that? And everybody said on the call, we were on a counseling call, oh, conditioning, oh, this. He's like, no, it's stupidity. And he's a Capricorn. And I was like, yeah, it's true. Because if you truly, in your core, even scientifically, understand that we are this amorphous, energetic, conscious expression, and we continue, and I'm not saying I don't have those moments. I'm human as fuck, but you got to check it. Because if we keep talking about they, them, dude,
You're
get
perpetuating.
well, it's just going to continue the polarity,
Will continue.
because that's the nature of energy, right? It's like we separate, 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 so then we can integrate, 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 integrate. It's even the psyche does that. When we're talking about shadow work, it's like you pull, you distill. Alchemy, same thing. You distill, you distill, you distill, so then you can mix the ingredients back in again.
Right. Integrate back. Right.
Exactly. The whole point is to integrate back.
Right.
Now, is that easy? Am I a master of it? No, I'm not saying that. But um, I'm not saying like we're on this wave and we're woke. No, no. What I am, because even those people who perhaps seem to challenge or bring out that shadow of ourselves or others or the collective, perhaps that was their contractual role in this whole game. You don't know what their contract is.
Like Ali just said, they
Their
are
contract is.
catalysts. A-
Huh?
Ali just said they are catalysts.
Exactly. They're catalysts. Like that could be their whole contract in this lifetime.
Exactly.
That or not, that's cool. But it tends to when you experience it, and obviously me and Marlene are sharing this information, a lot of this, and I think a lot of people who do this work, which is a very Gemini thing, this is based off personal experience. This isn't necessarily, you could read about these things all day long. That's cool. But these concepts in theory are one thing. But when you experience certain things over and over and over and over again, it's like, oh shit,
Hmm.
even if this contradicts my personal beliefs, maybe it's time for me to listen. A lot of these things contradict my old personal beliefs, so I don't expect anybody who perhaps hears this, who this maybe rattles a little bit. I'm not saying like you're wrong. No, no, no. This is, we're just sharing the information that has essentially assisted us to integrate a little more fluidly, because shadow work and integration, it's not fun work. It's definitely necessary. Definitely, like, I would not live any other way. But it does require support. Gemini friendships, like, communicate with people, man. It's going to become very clear at this time who hears you and who doesn't hear you.
Yeah.
And there's people you may love that just don't speak your language, but there'll be other people who do.
And it's okay that they don't. It's totally cool because they're going to speak some other person's language that needs their assistance, help, friendship, whatever you may call their energy, you know? And some people also come in and leave. They come in when they need, when those two souls have decided, hey, come in when this happens. And then that soul comes in and then that soul leaves. And it's okay, but it's in that adapting where the pain is at. And we get that too. So I just want to acknowledge that and have compassion about that, because we can intellectualize this all day long, but the truth is that this shit hurts.
Yes.
There's pain that's involved in this kind of transformation.
Yes.
And we really want to urge that you look at all the pain and the joy, the chaos and the order as coming from the same source, not as a punishment to you because you did something, because karmically you're fucked and this and every relationship you have and all those narratives that you tell yourself over. It's very important because right now everything's dissolving.
Yeah.
It's
That,
happening globally.
that's the Neptune right there. And the Gemini shadow are the stories too. It's like
Right.
stories.
Right.
You got it. Those stories, time to switch up the story.
The time is now.
Characters in that story, you know?
I'm gonna on that note, I'm gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna end the recording here so that we can give our comadres that are here live a chance to ask us some questions and talk to us and hang out. So for those of you that are watching, thank you so much for hanging out with us, for listening to our conversation. Comadres, we love doing this. Maybe one day you can join us live if you haven't already. And then we get to do a Q&A in private after. So that's a lot of fun too. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you've never heard of the Comadres, listen, you gotta click somewhere and get to the website, because this is where it's at.
You gotta
Okay.
keep it up.
this is just a little bit of all the benefits that you get from being in this amazingly inclusive group. So thank you so much. And I will see you on the 15th, around the 15th, 16th, to talk about the new moon that's coming up. Thank you so much for sharing your time, and we'll see you soon.